Boker Or Kal Kadosh Masechet Bava Kamma Daf Amud Aleph 35a1 says the Gemara. We were talking about right now a case of Tnan. Let's start like this. Yeah, we're going to start on Lamed Bet, just the last 2-3 lines, where 4 lines up where it says Tnan. We learned on the Mishnah. Shoro shelik et Gadish b'Shabbat. If his shore lights a Gadish on Shabbat, he's going to be chayav to pay the nezek. But if he himself lights a Gadish on the Shabbat, it's going to be patur. Obviously, because we know of Kim the Rabbi Mineh, right? So he says, "Vehaktani," but we learned Dumya the Shoro, Mashoro the Lokabaile, right? Afud the Lokabaile, right? Ktani Ptur Mineshu doing Dominasho. Why is it going to be Patur? Because there's Chiyuv Mita, meaning we know that the person is going to be killed. So since he's going to be killed, he doesn't have to pay. So says the Gemara, no, Shoro Dumya Dide. His shore is like him. Mahu de Kabaile, just like in the case where he himself lights it on Shabbat. We're talking about that he has to actually come. For example, he puts efer or whatever it is, so he's not going to be. That means, let's say, for example, he needs it. So therefore, because if not, he's not going to be. He's not going to be chayav. So avshorot dekvaile. So to here, you need the efer as well. So therefore, it's coming out that only in a case where he was madlik the gadish v'shabbat, we're talking about where you need it. So therefore, since you need it, right? That means it's not that it was like that you don't need it. You also need it. Okay, so. Says the Gemara, Shoro, thank you. Shoro hechi mashkachala. What's the case then of the shore? Okay, so Elmaleh Ravavia says of Yavi Achmaskinam beshol kikeach shaltalo neshicha begabo vekabay lemikle veigdar bekutma. So what happened was like this. We're talking about a shore that all of a sudden he's a very smart shore, right? Sometimes you have that. You have a hamor, but he's smart, right? Or you have a shore, so he's a shore kikeach. Yeah, shaltalo neshicha begabo. That he got bit on the back, the kabaye, right? And he says the kabaye, right? Lemikle viganda bekutma, and he wants to burn the gadish and to be mitgalgel in the efer, right? In order to be mekel on the ke'ev of the makah. Umenaya dinan. So now, how do we know? How do we know that after he burnt the gadish? How do we know this? Because afterwards he started being mitgalgel in the efer. Meaning he started coming and he started rolling in the ashes. So he burnt it in order to have ashes, and then he starts rolling around in the ashes. Okay? So says the Gemara, right? Are you going to tell me such a case that there's going to be that the shore has a bardat that he knows how to do that? Meaning, are you for real? That the shore is going to come, burn this thing just to get ashes and then rolling around in the ashes? Like, there's a shore. We're not talking about you understand, the human being that he knows how to do trampas and he knows how to do all these, Chinese and Russian, like inventions or whatever it is to get the votes. You understand? No. We're talking about, shore. So he says, yes. Why? Dahu Torah dahava berav Papa, because there was a shore in the house of Rav Papa. Dahava kiavin le chinche, that it was hurting his teeth. So he went into the house and he pushed the utensil of the shechar, the shati shichra, he drank beer, and he got cured. You saw? The shore is chacham. Yeah, the shore is very, very chacham. Okay? So Amru Rabbanan Kamed Rav Papa. So says the rabbis in front of Rav Papa, Mimatzit Amra Shor Dunya Dide. Can you actually come and tell me that there's going to be a shore which is like it? Baktani, we learned Shoro Shabiyesh Patur, right? V'hu Shabiyesh Chayav, right? It says that if the shore is going to be Vayesh, he's going to be Patur. But if he's going to do it, he's going to be Chayav. Because you remember we said that if a shore is Vayesh, he doesn't pay Busha. Because a shore doesn't pay Busha. But, right, here he comes and he says, but he himself, he's going to be Chayav. Right? So what does that mean? Shenitkaven levayesh. He has kavanah. So what are we talking about then? What does that mean? That the shore that's going to be vayesh is going to be patur? Dumya didei, that's like him, that he has kavanah, and therefore he's going to be chayav l'shalem. So what's the case then? Shore for sure has no da'at to be in vayesh. So says the Gemara, yeah. Kigon shenitkaven lezik. He has kavanah to be mazik someone. The Amar More says nitkaven lazik af mishalon nitkaven levayesh. Even the kavanah for lazik is already enough, even though he doesn't have kavanah to be mevayesh. Okay, fine. Rava Aman, Rava Kamma Daf says, Matzniti b'shogeg. Our Mishnah is b'shogeg. The Tana de Vechizkia, just like Tana de Vechizkia, the Tana de Vechizkia, make Adam umake behema. What does it mean now, make Adam umake behema? Ma make behema lo chalakta ba ben b'shogeg ben b'mezid. Just like by, right? It says over here, just like make behema. You didn't make a differentiation between shogeg and mezid. Ben mitkaven le'sheno mitkaven, whether it's mitkaven to eno mitkaven. Okay, that means you didn't make any kavanas. Ben derech yirida derech aliyah, whether it's for derech yirida to aliyah, lepotro mamon, to be poter from mamon, el lechayvo mamon, rather to obligate mamon. Af make adam, so to make adam lo tachlok bo ben shogeg ben mezid, ben mitkaven lesheno mitkaven, ben derech yirida derech aliyah, lechayvo mamon, ela lepotro mamon, but rather to be poter mamon. Okay, so he comes and he says like this. He says, right? You see from here, right? That what are we trying to say? Rava Kamma Daf says our Mishnah was talking about even if he was Mechalel Shabbat Beshogeg, because Tana de Chizkia says it says in the pasuk together Makeh Adam Makeh Bema, right? It says Makeh Bema Yishalamenu Makeh Adam Yumat. Now there's a Hekesh. What's a Hekesh? Juxtaposition. When it says Makeh Adam Makeh Bema, just like Makeh Bema, right? There's no difference in the Tashlumin whether it's Beshogeg or Mazid, right? Or Mitkaven Shelo Mitkaven, or Derech Yirida Derech Aliyah, Potro Mamon, right? But rather Lechayvo Mamon, which means we don't care. He's obligated to pay. I don't care if he did it Derech Yirida. I imagine saying, no, but the animal hit or damaged Derech Yirida, or Derech Aliyah, or Shogeg, or Mezid. There's no difference. So to Makeh Adam. It's the same thing. Somebody kills a human being. The exact same thing. Lo tachlok bo, you're not going to make a differentiation between Shogeg and Mezid, Mitkaven Hashem Mitkaven, Derech Yirida, Derech Aliyah, Lechayvo Mamon. So Amru le Rabbanan le Rava. So tells the Rabbanan to Rava, Mi metzit mukmet la b'shogeg veha mipnei shenido menafsho ktan. He says, can you actually come and tell me that we're talking about in a case of shogeg? We're talking about shenido menafsho ktan. So hachi kamar, this is what it means to say. Kevan de v'mezid nidon benafsho, right? Since b'mezid, right, it is nidon benafsho. Vehechi dami de kabay le'afro. We're talking about that you need the efer. Hashta now b'shogeg, you're going to be patur. And therefore, right, what we're trying to say now is, since b'mezid, he's going to be killed. Why? Because you need the efer, and therefore you're not mekalkel. Remember, whenever you need it, you're chayav mita, because it's not a melacha she'nitzachelu gufa. You actually need it. Hashta, now that we're talking about that it's going to be done b'shogeg, right, or that you didn't need it, you're going to be patur from tashlumin, which is actually a very big chidush, which means the fact that if you would have done it on purpose, you would have been chayav mita, patur from tashlumin. So too now also you're going to be patur from tashlumin, just like we taught from Tana de Chizkia as well. Okay, so it actually comes out that even if you did the melacha b'shabbat b'derech kilkul and you're patur from mita, you're still going to be patur from the chiyuv mamon, right, with the maaseh, because chilul shabbat b'shogeg poter, right, chiyuv mamon. That's the way that Rashi is explaining. Tosfot argues, but that's just a way of learning it according to Shitat Rashi. Okay, until here we're clear? Yeah? Fine. Next. Mishnah. Mishnah on the bottom of Lamedhei Amud Aleph. Says the Mishnah, Shor shaya rodef achar shor acher vehuzak. When you have one shor that's running after another shor and he damages, right? Which means the shor nirdaf was damaged, but we don't know how he was damaged. Meaning we know that there's this shor A is running after shor B, but we don't know what happens afterwards. We didn't see. All of a sudden we come to shor B and we see that he's damaged, but we didn't actually see the damage, meaning there's substantial evidence, as they call it in English, but we didn't actually see anything. So this guy says, listen, your shore was running after my shore. Your shore was one that did the damage. The other guy says, what are you talking about? It wasn't my shore. Your shore got hit with a rock. Hey, got hit by the rock. Nothing to do with me. He has to bring the proof. Why? In Hebrew, right, in Jewish courts, substantial evidence is not enough. Meaning if you come and you see a guy walk into a tent with a knife and he comes out of the tent with blood on the knife, but you did not see the murder, right? And then afterwards you come in and you see that the guy's bleeding to death. That's called substantial evidence. You cannot kill. You could put him in jail. You can do this. You need to see the action. Even though you know that there was nobody else. You went in it. Doesn't matter. You did not witness the action. That's according to Jewish courts. You can never kill the guy. You could put him in jail. But yes. You could put him in a type of a jail. But to kill him, you can never kill him. In non-Jewish right courts, it's called substantial evidence. That's it. That's all that you need. There was nobody else around, right? They have the fingerprints on the knife. The knife was the one that actually killed the guy, stabbed the guy. For us, you can't do anything. Again, you could do jail. You cannot kill. You cannot. So same thing here. You wanted me to pay? Bring me a proof that it was my animal. My animal was running after your animal. Doesn't matter. One of you have two shores that are running that they belong to two different owners. They're running after the shore shlishi, and then afterwards they found each one is throwing the blame on somebody else. Right? They're both exempt. Why? Because each one is throwing the blame on somebody else. They don't know whose it is. But if they both belong to the same human being, then obviously they're going to be chayavim. Why? Because then I don't care. Because if they both belong to the same human being, I don't care exactly. He's always chayav and chayav. That's it. That's the thing we talk about. Katan. What happens if one of the shores is gadol, one of them is katan? Hanizak omer gadol izik, v'mazik omer lo ki ela katan. So the shore comes, the nizak comes and he says it was the gadol that was mazik, and therefore I'm going to take the chetzi nezik from the gadol. And the mazik says no, it was a katan that was mazik, and therefore you could only take the chetzi nezik from the katan, right? Ve'echad tam ve'echad muad. One of them is tam, one of them is muad. Hanizak omer muad. So the nizak says obviously it's muad in order they take the nezik shalem. And the mazik says no, it was a tam. Hamotzi mechavolo v'rayah. The same day, he has to bring a proof. He has to bring a proof. Okay? Next, Hayo Nizakim Shnaim. What happens if the Nizakim were two? One of them is Gadol, one of them is Katan. Vamazikim Shnaim. The Mazikim is two. One of them is Gadol, one of them is Katan. The Nizak says Gadol Izik et Gadol v'Katan et Katan. Vamazik omen lo Katan et Gadol v'Gadol et Katan. Right? Remember, the difference is always going to be the Chetzi Neziks and all these things about Gadol and Katan, obviously, because if right now the Gadol damaged the Katan, so fine, take the chetzi nezik, but then if it was a katan that damaged a gadol, so now it's going to be half. So now you're going to be losing out. Ve'echad tam ve'echad muad v'nizak omer muad izik et gadol ve'tam et katan v'mazik omer no, it was the tam that gadol and the muad katan. Hamosi mechavero alav araya. Okay. Okay. So says the Gemara. Gemara Lamediamu Bet 35b the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba, says Rabbi Chia bar Abba. So it means to say Chalukim alav chaverav al sumchus. Right? They were arguing the chaverim on sumchus damar mamona mutal b'safek cholkin. That when you have money which is going to be placed in a safek, you're going to divide it. So Amar Rabbi Abba bar Mama Rabbi Chia bar Abba says Rabbi Abba bar Mama Rabbi Chia bar Abba. Amar sumchus says sumchus afilu bariu bari. Even if it's going to be bariu bari. Right? What? Are you going to say such a thing? Because remember, bari means that you're certain about it. So here, are we talking about that each one is certain with what they're talking about? And that's our Mishnah is talking about? Right? The Gemara is going to ask, how are they certain, obviously? Because, obviously, if they're certain, so what's the question? But he says, yes. Even if it's going to be bari bari, it's the same halacha. So says the Gemara, how do you know that our Mishnah is a bari bari? Maybe it's a shema v'shema. Shema means maybe. Maybe they're both maybe. Yeah, I come and tell you, you're maybe. I was the big one. No, maybe. How do we know that we're talking about? No, I'm certain it was the bigger one. Or I'm certain it was the smaller one. How do you know? So says the Gemara, when you say low key is mashma that he knows that the nezik was not done to a shore. So therefore it's not that just like, no, I don't think so. No. No, it was this. So they're both bari bari. Bari means that each one is 100% certain in his ta'anot. So it's like my word against your word. So for you have to bring a proof. Right? Why? Listen, I tell you the A, you tell me B. Okay? Next. So matkif Rav Papa, right? So it's asked Rav Papa, midreisha bari bari. If you're going to tell me now that the reisha is talking about bari bari, right? What about the seifa? Seifa nami bari bari. And seifa, let's see the seifa. Imagine one of them is a bigger one, one of them is a smaller one. And the Nizak is going to say Gadol Izik, Mazik, and the Mazik is going to say Lo Kiela Katan Izik. It's only going to be the smaller one. Echad Tam Echad Muad. One of them is going to be a Tam, one of them is a Muad. Nizak Muad Izik, Mazik, Lo Ki Ela Tam Izik. So therefore, he comes and he says, the tam comes and he says, one of them says, Muad Nizak, says it's the Muad Izik, Maziko says, no, it's a tam. If he doesn't bring a proof, he can only take what the mazik says. So therefore, so this is a tiyufta against Rabbi Natan, because he says, patur. If I come and I tell you, right, that you owe me, let's say, chitim. He says, no, I only took from you seurim. So I didn't take from you wheat, I took from you barley. He's going to be patur. But that's only according to Rabbi Natan. Okay, so same thing. According to Rabbi Bar Natan, since the Nizak says that for sure it was the small one, that he wasn't the one that damaged, so he should be patur, the mazik nizko. So therefore, what's going on then? So therefore, obviously, Ella, Bari v'Shema, it has to be that one of them is Bari and one of them is Shema. Meaning one of them says for sure, and one of them is maybe. The Kamar Bari man, so who's the one that said Bari? The Kamar Shema man, who's the one that says Shema? Remember, one person is a certain, and one person is not. Who's that person? Which one? The Mazik or the Nizak? If you're going to tell me now the Kamar Nizak Bari, the Kamar Mazik Shema, that the Nizak, the one that got damaged, says for sure, and the other one says maybe Shema, it's still a question against Rabbi Bar Natan, but rather, the Nizak says maybe, and the Mazik says Bari. So he says, when the Seifa Nizak Shema Mazik Bari, Reisha also is going to be the same thing, that the Nizak is Shema Mazik Bari, the Sumchus Afilu Baha. Now, Sumchus is going to say that you're going to divide it. That you have to tell me now that you're not going to divide it, which means it's going to be Pashut, that Sumchus is going to say, in such a case. So it cannot be that we're talking about Bari V'Shema then. Because even in Sumchus, that usually he says that whenever you have Mamon, the Safek, that you divide it in two, here it's not going to be like that. So says, no, you're right. Seifa is talking about where the Nizak is a maybe, and the Mazik is a Bari. And the Reisha is the opposite. The Nizak is a Bari, and the Mazik is a Shema. Right? So it's very, one of them is Bari, one of them is Shema, but now he's flipped. So the Reisha and the Seifa is not the same case. Right? They're two different cases. So says the Gemara, Ve'halo Damya Reisha and Seifa. So then it doesn't make sense. Saying, Bi'ikar Chaser Min Sefer, and the Reisha and the Seifa are not compared to each other. If you're going to tell me that the Reisha, right, was Nizak is for sure, and the Mazik is Bari, and the Seifa is exact opposite. The Nizak is a Shema, and the Mazik, the Nizak was a Bari, and the Mazik was Shema. So what's going on then? So Lo Damya Reisha Seifa. So they say Amri Bari v'Shema Shema Bari Chad Mintahi. They say it's all one in Yan. Bari Bari if Shema Bari Tre Milinim. He says no. He says when you're going to say Bari v'Shema Bari, it's all one concept, right? Because in both cases, one of the Balei Adin is saying Bari, and one of them is saying Shema. And therefore, it's not a question that you're going to ask that the Reisha is one way and the Seifa is not one way. Why? Because it's the same case. One is Bari, one is Shema. One is Bari, one is Shema. Same case. So he says, however, though, when you say Bari Ubari, right, the Shema Ubari, there he comes and he says, right, it's 3 million. It's two completely different things. And that's why you wanted to say that you cannot say that it's Bari Ubari. Okay? Now, obviously, we're going to stuff to ask, how does he know Bari and all these things? But okay. Gufa. Let's just try to analyze again what we were talking about. Amar Rabbi Bar Natan. What was the case of Rabbi Bar Natan? He says, imagine I come to you and I say, listen, give me back my wheat. So what are you talking about? I never took wheat from you. I took barley. So he says, what is it coming to teach you? Tani, we already learned it. It's already going to be patur. That means even though you are admitted that you do have something from me, you don't have to pay me back the wheat. I told you barley. Obviously, there's a difference in price, right? But I thought, no, I only took barley from you. What are you talking about? So says the Gemara, if it's from that case, Hava mina patur, I would have said patur, ve chayav b'dmei sorin kamashmalan, and you're going to be chayav b'dmei sorin kamashmalan the patur legamre. The chidush is you're patur from everything. It's a huge chidush. Meaning, I would have had a hava mina. Okay, fine. I asked you to pay me back wheat. I told you, what are you talking about? You're going to give me wheat. You give me barley. So okay, fine. So you're patur on wheat. You have to give me back barley. Kamashmalan, you have to give back nothing. Nada. That's the chidush. So he says, Tznan, we already learned. Hayu nizakim shnayim, echad gadol b'echad katan. Right? Alo ma'iti raya shakil kidam mazik. But why? Chitim u'seorim. One second. This guy, the nizak, has to bring a proof. Because it says, has to bring a proof. What happens if he doesn't bring a proof? So then we go according to the mazik. But 1 second. That's like chitim u'seorim. The exact same case. Just like chitin with seorim, I asked you for chitin, you told me no, it's only seorim, and you're going to tell me it's patur legamre. So to here it should be patur legamre. Here we didn't say patur legamre. Here we said he has to pay, but he has to pay the lower amount. So why is that? So answers the Gemara, ra'ui litol ve'enlo. The Mishnah is that if the Nizak brings a raya, it's fitting for him to take it. But enlo krum, if he doesn't bring, that means he doesn't get nothing. Meaning it's the exact same case like Chitim. Meaning he gets nothing if he doesn't bring a proof, which is something incredible. The mazik is admitting that his animal damaged. But the fact that the mazik said it wasn't the gadol, it was the katan, if the other guy doesn't bring a proof, he gets nothing. It's an incredible concept. Yeah? So says the Gemara, how could you say such a thing? So that you do have to pay something. Answers the Gemara, to tafas. No, don't whether you grabbed it. That's why you took it. Not that you have to pay it. Really, baby, you don't have to pay nothing. But here you grabbed it. So if you kvar tafas, tafasta את זה. בסדר, כאילו אנחנו לא מוצאים את זה מידך. Because remember, usually מוצאים מחברו עברייה is because you're muhzak in the money, so you have to bring the proof that I'm wrong. But if you already have the money, it's completely different. That's why it's very important in halakha, who's the one that has the money in his hand, right? Do I have the money in there, or do you have the money in there? For example, we have a machlok, something happening. The first question in Betin is, who's muhzak? Who has the money?
Why do you still have a claim if you have the money? If you are getting them.
So now we learned in the Mishnah, echad tam ve'echad muad. One of them is a tam, one is a muad. The Nizak says the muad was the one that was mazik the gadol, and the tam was mazik the katan. The mazik says no, that it was a tam that was mazik the gadol and muad mazik the katan. But if he doesn't bring a proof, he's going to take the mazik. Why? So the Gemara answers, right? Ra'ui litol, it's fitting for him. Ve'enlo. Right? Sorry. Ve'enlo. He doesn't have. That means he doesn't get nothing if he doesn't bring a raya. So as the Gemara, ve'atanya we learned, right? Mishtalem lekatan, right? Mina muad ve'legadol minatam. He says, you do have to pay. He says, no, that's fast, the same thing. He grabbed it. And since he already grabbed it, right, that's why he's going to have it. Okay, we continue with Hashem tomorrow.
Talk about